All right, hey everybody. My name is Victoria Howard. I teach at Jackson Independent School, and I have actually 4th and 5th grade. I teach ELA and science, but this focuses on my 4th grade. In my 4th grade, I have 30 students. 19 of those are boys, and so that makes things a little bit more interesting. So last year was actually my first year of teaching. I just completed it, so I made it through. And one thing I noticed, and I'm sure everybody sees it in their classroom, is you have that one group of kids who, no matter what you're doing, they first sit on their foot, and then they adjust a little bit, and they move to the other foot, and then you look and they have their legs hanging over their chair. They're just all over the place. And so I wanted to be able to reach those kids, and I started thinking, and of course, when we go through college, they teach us all about kinesthetic learners, but in a classroom of 30 kids, and, more than 20 boys, that's a little bit hard to do. I say that I'm herding cats a lot, especially in a classroom. You cannot get them up and moving very much because it's just a mess. And I was very fortunate enough to go to Ron Clark Academy this summer, and so I got to spend 2 days there, and they're always moving. They're up, they're moving all the time. And the whole time that I was watching these kids move and doing things, I thought of all the little faces in my room who had their legs hanging over the chairs. And I took a picture the other day of we were having a virtual field trip, and I was looking through my pictures, and there's one of a little boy literally laying on the table looking at her. So I wanted to reach these kids, and I started thinking about how I could do that. And we also made podcasts last year, and my kids really enjoyed podcasts. And after they would make them, they would go listen to everybody else's during recess. They had their phones, it was uploaded, they would go to recess, and they would listen to everybody else's podcast. So after that, I thought maybe this is the way that I can reach those kids. So I started thinking about creating my own podcast just based on content-based learning. I started with science, and I basically did the most boring thing possible. I just took my science book out, I read a chapter out, I recorded it, and I uploaded it to Anchor.fm. And during summer camp this year, I had a group of kids test that. And it was kids who were in our summer program. They're a little bit disengaged as it is. And so during one of their free times during summer camp, I just had them pop on those headphones. They went and they just walked around the gym a couple times and listened to that. And they said that they loved it. So I went a step further, and for the next chapter, I gave a pretest of just, what do you know about this? And they, of course, didn't know much because they hadn't learned it yet. Then I let them listen to the podcast again. They understood it much better than what they usually do. So then I waited until the next week of summer camp toward the end, and I did it again. And it turned out that they actually retained all that information at a much higher rate than what I usually see in my classroom. So I knew that I was onto something. And I was pretty much ready to go on Shark Tank and become a member with Mark Cuban and get my product sold. I was ready to go. Started doing some market research. This already exists. And it's called The Walking Classroom. It's amazing. They have all of the content. You can do kindergarten through 5th grade reading, science. They have history. They have STEAM. All the content already uploaded on little devices. They look like MP3 players, and they hang around the kids' necks, and it has little headphones with them, and they're very durable. It has the whole curriculum already uploaded on the device, and it's your whole year right there, and you just tell them what number to skip to when you're ready to do that lesson. So you teach the lesson first. It comes with the teacher curriculum. You teach it first. Then you take the kids outside. You take them to the gym, and you just give them like 20 minutes. That's as long as it is. And they walk, and they listen, and you do a pretest before to see what they know. And then after, you do it again, and then a week later, you give it again just to see if they can retain. And that was my biggest goal this year, was to get my retention up, because I told my 4th graders last year in the nicest way possible, and it was just a joke. But I told them that they were the shiniest, most amazing, wonderful toilet bowls I've ever seen, because they just flush stuff as soon as they learn it. So that was our little joke between ourselves. But this year, hopefully with this one, our retention will go way, way up. And from my study group so far that I've done, their retention has been much higher than what I've seen before. And the Walking Classroom actually did a study in the spring of 2018 where they tested 4th and 5th graders, 319 of them, and they were from 90% free and reduced lunch households. And in those groups, they saw 3 big goals that were hit. Walking while listening improves learning and retention. It improves student mood toward learning, and it makes students feel confident and strong. So those are the 3 goals I've put into my action research this year. And hopefully those are things that I'll be able to see based on pre and post map tests, pre and post surveys of students, and then those pre and post tests for each lesson and given the week after to test for retention. And that is basically it for the walk-in classroom. Anybody have any questions?